when you go into the screening tool here, if I put in here, if I just click this button, say I want to look for 10% 10-year historical growth. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. 10% historical growth and 10% 5-year. Now, the reason you want to run these two together when you screen is because we were always trying to find a way, how do you get consistent earnings? So you don't, because if you look at a company like, for example, if I showed you this company here, you can calculate average numbers here. I get a 4% average, but look at the. So but it did give me a 4% average. Okay, and then if I drop off, if I draw this as an 11-year chart, let's say, I'm just cutting it in half, I get 2.7. Well, actually, I need to draw one more. Let me draw this as a 10-year chart. If I draw this as a 10-year chart, I'm still only getting that. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to draw more than I got to draw it as a 7. I'm going to draw it as a 7-year chart. I'm not doing my math right here. I'm still not getting it. Anyway, the point is I'm getting these crazy numbers, but see, there's no consistency there. That's my point. So by doing 10% 10-year, 10% 5-year, we're trying to come up with as much of a consistent growth. And then I'm going to say, okay, and I want one that's forecast to grow at 10% also. On the screening tool, I can go in here and add up to 200 symbols. I'm going to do 40 here in this example, and then I'm going to hit screen. And then the screening button's flashing, and it's working now. But what I'm going to try to show you is what I was referring to earlier, if I can remember what they were. And it's taken a little longer than it normally does. There we go. All right, so now I've got my screening tool. Okay, and I've screened out, in this case, I've screened out about 40 names, and I've got 264 rows, which means I've got more to screen for. I can screen for the next 40 and so on, because I've got 264 that it's given me. But if I go in here and I'm going to rescreen this, I'm going to add a 2% dividend onto this. Okay, so I'm going to rerun the screen. I'm going to restart the screening at the beginning and rerun this again. The point that I want to get at is when I'm doing this, we've already built this to handle the what I'd call the smarter time frames, but the regular fast graphs doesn't do it yet. So now I've got 49 rows, so I've only got, I've got 40 of the 49 here. But here's my point. If I go in and run a graph, like if I hit this NCRI, let me see if I can do it. Okay, see, I only got 7.5% growth. Okay, if I drop this down to the 10 years and I got to draw 11 years, now I get the 21% growth. All right, but the point I'm getting at is this is measuring from the dates. If I can find it here, there we go. 12/31 to May 30th. The screen is actually measuring from May 31st of 2012, 10 years back, to May 31st of 2002 or whatever. You get my point? So, the reality of that is that this is giving you a pure 10-year, this is giving you a pure 10-year look back and a pure 5-year look back, date to date. We're going to have to correlate that, to where the fast graphs will have the same numbers. Because the point is, when you actually start looking at these individual companies, you can actually come up, and it also ends up drawing our default chart is 15 years, because that's the longest chart where we put all the data. But I'm trying to find one. I can't find one that gives us a bad number. This one might actually be one if I do from memory. I've got, no, it's not. But the point is, if I run shorter charts, I'll get different time frames here. But here's the other thing I want you to notice with screening. Once you've run the screen and you've created the screen, you have a couple of options. You can go at the bottom of the screen here, and this is something that's important. You can highlight the screen, the symbols at the bottom, copy them, okay, and then go into the portfolio section. And I've already got one named John, but I'll call this John 2. We'll just, we're doing this is not your screen, but we're just saying we do this. I hit add or edit, and then I come in here and I just paste in those symbols. And now I've created a portfolio that has all those stocks that we just screened in there. then you can go in here now and like click on any button. You've got three choices starting out here, but you go in here now and then you create this report. And you can, add, like for example, if I wanted to take sectors off, I would just hit that to 0 and I would redraw it and that would cut this column off as soon as it changes. Okay, if I wanted to add columns, I wanted to put the dividend, the actual dividend amount in there, I'll add this as number 7. I'm just doing it so I'm putting it at the end so you can see it. Now I've added, so in other words, you can create as many columns here as you want.
Whoa.
Or as few as you want. And then you can list this, and then you also, once you're in the portfolio, you have all these other options. You can list it by dividend yield. You're a value investor, but you're also a yield investor, so you can look at the highest yield to the lowest. You can also list it by price performance order, but you can also list it by total return order. Will give you kind of a valuation look, because that's saying where's the best future valuation, and you've got the current PE normal. So you can manipulate this stuff a lot of different ways once you've screened out a portfolio. And then see, like in the example we're doing here, just so you see it, if I can get back to it, if I can find it. Nope. Let me see, which one was it? Yeah, no, must be this one. All right, I'll go back to screening. I lost that screening tool. I'm going to have to start over again, but if I'm careful, I can make sure that I get all these. Another thing you can do is you can highlight, once you've created these, and by the way, I have this set up as 150% so that I can show it more. This is the 100%. I can also go in here and I can copy these columns right here and copy these, and I can then download this into a spreadsheet. And then you can manipulate that. I don't have one open now, but you get the point. So, the idea here is to give you the ability to handle the data. Because if you look at most of the screening tools, like for example, I'm almost afraid to look at the market today, but we'll look at it. If you go in and look at anyone else's screening tools, they will give you all this list of names. You get all these rows. You got 2,000 rows. But what do you do with this data? See, once you have this data, what do you do with it? And what we try to do with the fast graphs is give you the ability, once you've run your screens, to be able to use this data. You can go in here again and, well, here's just 5 more symbols. I can go in and copy these 5 symbols, and I can go back into the portfolio, and I can go back into your portfolio, edit tickers, and then I can just add those additional 5 symbols to this. Okay, and then hit update. And now you'll see that there's 45 tickers in there. And then, of course, if you want to eliminate a portfolio, you just go in, and once you've done one, you go to edit tickers, you hit that, delete them, hit update, and you've got that portfolio now has disappeared. So you can, you also know you can mark your portfolios with buys and sells. You aware of that?
No.
Yeah. And what you can do is you can click this edit buy sell button here, and you can actually put I bought Abbott Labs or sell, put a B or an S. We'll put a B in here. I bought Abbott Labs, and then you put the month, year, and date. So you have to do it this way. You have to put 05-31-2012. Okay, and then you put in 100 shares. And I can't tell you off the top of my head right now what is Abbott trading at. 61.79. So then we would go back in here and we would put in, you could put the total amount, or you could simply put the 61.79 in here. And then once you've done that, you've got them all in there. You just simply hit update. And now I've got that loaded in here. Okay, and if I go back to the portfolios, I've updated, I go back to the portfolios. Which one of those was I doing that in? Do you remember?
I'm sorry?
I don't remember which portfolio I was doing that in.
John 2, I think, weren't you?
I think it was John 2. Yeah, let me let me go back to the portfolios here. I think I was in here. I'll go alphabetic order to make sure. No, I don't have Abbott Labs in there.
Actually, you put that under Apple.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay, well then.
Don't worry.
All right. Well, I've got a. I blew out my machine here anyway. So, but anyway, what you get when you do that, I'll show you what you get when you do that.